Unredacted search warrants from the Southern District of New York's case into Michael Cohen were made public today, and they tied Donald Trump to the illegal hush money scheme that continued through the final weeks of the 2016 presidential campaign. Washington Post writes it this way, quote, newly unsealed court documents show then-candidate Donald Trump communicated repeatedly with his lawyer, Michael Cohen, amid the election year scramble to keep quiet allegations that Trump previously had an affair with an adult film actress. A federal judge in New York ordered the documents released, and they render Trump's original defenses and denials completely false.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth or allegation?
Well, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
And today, Trump's involvement, which is no longer in question, as these search warrants show for the very first time, the day after the Access Hollywood tape came out, there was a flurry of phone calls between Trump, Hope Hicks, and Michael Cohen, as well as ones between Cohen and AMI executives. AMI owns the National Enquirer. After all of which, Cohen spoke with Trump for nearly 8 minutes. Joining our conversation, former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst Paul Butler. Paul Butler, the significance of these documents, in your opinion?
They show the level of Trump's involvement with this criminal conspiracy. So the day after these very damaging Access Hollywood tapes come out, we get 10 telephone calls between Cohen, who's acting as the middleman, and Trump and Hope Hicks and people at AMI and the National Enquirer. And Trump is so involved that on the day that the money is wired, the payoff money is wired to Stormy Daniels, he talks to Michael Cohen 2 times on that day. So that's why in that indictment, the Southern District of New York said that President Trump directed and coordinated a criminal conspiracy. The only reason he's not doing time with his dude Michael Cohen, his former fixer Michael Cohen right now, the only reason Trump isn't doing time is because he's president of the United States.
So, Paul Butler, something I wondered when I read these documents, and it became clearer to me how and why the Southern District named Donald Trump as individual one, and we've all been talking about him as an unindicted co-conspirator. And when we talk about an underlying crime, there it is, the crime of participating in or directing, if you believe all these materials, an illegal campaign finance hush money scheme. What happens now?
Well, Trump isn't out of legal jeopardy in this case and many others. And so there could be an indictment that's brought the day he leaves office, given the extensive level of his involvement in this criminal conspiracy. And of course, he's got a lot of legal jeopardy in other cases as well. The Trump Organization is being investigated by the state's attorney general in New Jersey and New York, his inauguration committee, his charitable foundation, and we've got criminal trials coming up with Jeff Epstein and with Roger Stone. If those guys don't want to spend the rest of their lives in prison, they may have to offer incriminating information against the president.
Rick Stengel, I can't help but wonder if, there's also information in these documents released that suggests that the obstruction that Bob Mueller, the patterns and the behavior that he chronicles in Volume 2 of his report, some of those behaviors took place in the Southern District of New York, as the New York Times had reported earlier in the year. But now atop the entire chain of command at the U.S. Department of Justice is an acolyte of Sean Hannity in William Barr.
Yeah, so I don't think we can depend on the Justice Department to get us justice on this. And I think one of the things that's disappointing, although it's not definitely comprehensive yet, is that there are no more indictments in the Michael Cohen case. Yes, it was directed by individual one, but as we heard, Hope Hicks participated in the deception. Donald Trump Jr. participated in the deception. The CFO wrote the check. Why are there not more indictments? That I don't know. I mean, again, we don't know that there aren't more, but in my looking at it and the reporting around it, it looks like they're wrapping up the case, and basically it's Michael Cohen and the unindicted co-conspirator who's president of the United States.
This is why when Nancy Pelosi said, I don't want him impeached, I want him in jail, right? This is the kind of thing that she was talking about. She's like, I want him to get in trouble. And this is also, and I don't think it's beyond Donald Trump to think this way. part of his motivation in running again is because he doesn't want to face this. There might be a greater chance of him getting hit up on these sort of Al Capone-esque money laundering shenanigans than anything he's actually done as president of the United States. And it's sad to think that we might have to depend on local prosecutors to get him more than the people he actually works with in the government.
Heilelmann, do you read these documents?
Yeah, and I think it's everything you knew. The political piece of it's not the legal piece, but the political piece of it just gives you a real window into that moment, which really is, in some sense, the pivotal moment, as much as the stuff that Comey was involved in on the other side late in the campaign, the Access Hollywood moment, and what the degree of desperation that Trump had and all of the motivation that he had to try to make sure this deal got done, because of the fact that he was already, even aside from Stormy Daniels, he was facing this other barrage of accusations from various women, and that this was one where he was dead to rights, and he could make it go away by writing a check. There were a bunch that he had to fight off in other ways. So it just illuminates that moment in the campaign, and something that we have kind of all known before, but kind of getting this full sense of it and how much it was student body left in Trump world to make sure that you had to put out all these fires, and this was one you could put out by pouring money on top of it. I think that, I think that what Jason said is right. I think there's no doubt that part of Trump, I find many things about Trump's attachment to the presidency baffling. It is such a complicated thing that he can't like this job in some way. And so many of the things that are what the job is, he demonstrably has no interest in or aptitude for. So why does he stay in it? Pure lust for power, self-aggrandizement, the roar of the crowd, and also, I might be able to buy myself 4 more years where I'm not going to face indictment, in particular this case, because the others are all under investigation still. This is the one where he is, as you say, an unindicted co-conspirator. If he loses at the end of this election, there's a reasonable chance he's going to face an indictment here. And so I think that's the thing that is why, part of the reason to go back to our top of our conversation. Why is this going to be so ugly? Because Trump is looking at this as by winning this as the way to at least forestall the possibility of facing jail time.
All right, after the break, from racist to sex with porn stars to the child sex